Pro wrestling has a rich history of wild characters and crazy gimmicks, from fatty smoking pimps to charismatic cult leaders. Pro wrestling has something for everyone, but not every wrestler gets it right straight away. Sometimes all it takes is a little time, a company change, or even a bizarre set of circumstances, but suddenly the right gimmick appears and a superstar is born. In this list, we take a look at our top 8 picks for gimmick changes that launched careers. So throw away those old outfits and let's reinvent ourselves. Number 8. Enter the Sandman. The Sandman is best known as the hardcore icon of ECW. However, he started his wrestling career as a very different wrestler, still going by the Sandman name, but as Mr. Sandman. Mr. Sandman was a surfer, even wrestling in a wetsuit while hilariously carrying a surfboard around the ring. In around 1992, he switched his name to The Sandman. Then, in 1994, ECW's original owner, Todd Gordon, suggested that The Sandman try a gimmick closer to his own personality. By May 1994, The Sandman was in full swing with his new manager, Woman, by his side, opening his beers, lighting his smokes, and wielding his trademark Singapore cane. The Sandman's gimmick went on to inspire Stone Cold Steve Austin, and he enjoyed a long, successful career with his much-beloved persona. Number 7. What about me? What about Raven? Originally debuting under the name Scotty the Body, he worked from 1988 to 1992 under that moniker before debuting for World Championship Wrestling in 1992 as the high-flying surfer character named Johnny Flamingo. It seemed like everybody was into surfing in the early 90s, huh? Anyway, Flamingo went on to win the WCW light heavyweight title during his time there. He even teamed up with Diamond Dallas Page in the Diamond Mine faction until a falling out with Cowboy Bill Watts led to his departure from the company. In 1993, he made his way to the WWF, now going by the name Johnny Polo. He debuted as a spoiled, rich, preppy kid. He mainly worked as a manager and he occasionally wrestled. Of course, this wasn't a great fit and he left the WWF in late 1994. After developing the Raven gimmick and unsuccessfully pitching the character to Jim Cornette for Smoky Mountain Wrestling, Raven made his debut in early 1995 for ECW. The gimmick was grungy, edgy, and depicted a depressed persona unlike anything pro wrestling had seen before. It struck a chord with wrestling fans worldwide. In 1997, Raven debuted for WCW and had a semi-successful run there for almost 2 years. The Raven persona would go on to become one of pro wrestling's greatest gimmicks, and this change in character completely elevated his career.
Quote the Raven. Nevermore.
Number 6. Let Me In. Bray Wyatt went through various gimmick changes and names between 2008 and 2010, including Alex Rotunda, Axel Mulligan, Duke Rotundo, and the less successful Husky Harris. He eventually settled on Bray Wyatt in early 2012. The Wyatt persona was captivating, portraying him as a cult leader with his devoted following known as the Wyatt family. He achieved significant success with this character, but his transformation in April 2019 into The Fiend was truly his masterpiece. As The Fiend, Bray became one of the most entertaining characters in the WWE. His Firefly Funhouse segments became the highlight of WWE program, known for their innovative and fresh approach to entertainment. Unfortunately, due to budget cuts, WWE released The Fiend in 2021. When they brought him back in late 2022, things didn't quite catch on as they had previously. However, Wyatt remained extremely popular with the fans and was clearly building towards something. Tragically, Bray Wyatt passed away on the 24th of August 2023, leaving the wrestling world in total shock. His memory will live on forever in our hearts thanks to his incredible work as The Fiend. Number 5. Delete, delete, Delete. When it comes to gimmicks that totally revitalize careers, broken Matt Hardy has to be in the conversation. His entertaining segments and cinematic matches completely changed wrestling, paving the way for things like the Firefly Funhouse and the Boneyard match. Nobody was talking about Matt Hardy in 2016 until he became broken. Suddenly, the broken universe was all wrestling fans wanted to talk about. During his tenure in TNA Wrestling, Matt and Jeff Hardy started a feud. After Matt Hardy lost to Jeff, he became broken. The broken persona quickly became the hottest act in all of pro wrestling. Matt Hardy's persona change completely saved his career, bringing millions of eyes to TNA. The gimmick became so popular that Matt turned face and no longer wanted to delete his brother, instead teaming up with him. Of course, the WWE would end up re-signing the Hardys and changing Matt from broken to woken Matt Hardy, capitalizing on how popular the Hardys had become with this gimmick change. Unfortunately, the WWE missed the mark with their version of woken Matt Hardy, having him team up with Bray Wyatt and forming the Deleters of Worlds. Still, the broken character served to revitalize and save the career of Matt Hardy. Number 4. The Doctor of Thugonomics. John Cena made his TV debut on June 27, 2002, during the Ruthless Aggression era on SmackDown. Initially struggling to connect with the fans, John Cena was on the verge of being fired. However, his fortunes changed when Stephanie McMahon and some of the WWE creative team overheard him freestyle rapping at the back of the bus during a European tour. This led to Cena being given a segment on the Halloween episode of SmackDown on October 31st, 2002, where he appeared dressed as Vanilla Ice and showcased his rapping skills. The following week, John Cena re-emerged as the Doctor of Thugonomics, introducing his word life catchphrase and rapping backstage with his new persona. For the next 3 years, John Cena would ride his rap persona to the pinnacle of the wrestling world, donning Reebok pumps and engaging in verbal sparring with fellow wrestlers as well as fans, ultimately becoming one of the hottest acts and one of the biggest superstars in WWE history. He later transitioned into a more family-friendly version, embodying the role model he is known for today. Number 3. The Big Red Machine. Glenn Jacobs' journey in the wrestling world saw him take on several different personas, ranging from the Unabomber in Smoky Mountain Wrestling to the ill-conceived and widely hated gimmick of Isaac Yankem, an evil dentist in the WWF. His stint in the WWF as the Fake Diesel further highlighted the challenges he faced in establishing a memorable character. However, the turning point in Jacobs' career came when he adopted the persona of Kane. Emerging as the younger half-brother of The Undertaker, Kane made a dramatic entrance into the wrestling scene, giving the formidable Undertaker something to be terrified of. Kane's character captivated fans with its blend of mystique and dominance. This persona continued to evolve over the years as Kane found his voice, then eventually lost his mask. The Kane character would go on to have a long and immensely rewarding career. Number 2. Give me a hell yeah! On Steve Austin's journey to the top, he faced several hurdles. His time in World Championship Wrestling as Stunning Steve Austin was a bit of a setback, despite having great matches, being in one half of the best tag teams in WCW, and being in the Dangerous Alliance. Austin got axed from the company by Eric Bischoff when he told his secretary to tell their secretary to leave a message for Steve Austin that he was fired. Frustrated, Austin landed in ECW, where he let loose about his WCW days in a series of memorable promos that included his awesome Steve-O-Mania moment. This is often seen as the first glimpse of the Stone Cold persona. Later in the WWF, they gave him an odd gimmick called the Ringmaster, and initially Ted DiBiase did all the talking for him. What? But it didn't take long for Austin to start speaking for himself, and as he started to ditch the Ringmaster name, he picked up lots of popularity. Then came the infamous King of the Ring promo, where he coined the phrase, "Austin 316 says I just whooped your ass." Add in his intense feud with Bret the Hitman Hart, and Stone Cold quickly became the hottest star of 1997, ultimately becoming the biggest star in pro wrestling history. And that's the bottom line, cause Wrestle Savage said so. Number 1. Rest in peace. Making his way through various wrestling territories, Mark Calaway had many different personas. He started as Texas Red in WCCW and tried out gimmicks like the Master of Pain and the Punisher in CWA. He settled in at WCW as Mean Mark Callis, but they didn't see his potential as a main eventer. After being in WCW for around 9 months, Mean Mark asked for a raise, and Ole Anderson told him, "Mark, you're a great athlete, but nobody is ever gonna pay money to watch you wrestle." Calaway felt disrespected by this, and he wanted a meeting with Vince McMahon at the WWF, but it took some effort, including support from Hulk Hogan, Bruce Pritchard, and Paul Heyman along the way before he finally got that meeting. Legend had it that Vince wasn't initially impressed with Calaway, but a few days later he proposed the idea of an old school Wild West style Undertaker, a concept he had thought of years earlier. They first considered calling him Kane the Undertaker, but later it was shortened to just The Undertaker. The Undertaker debuted on November 19th, 1990 for a taping of WWF Superstars 3 days prior to the Survivor Series. He defeated Mario Muccini in a match that did not air on television until December 15th, 1990. So, his official debut has always been considered as the 1990 Survivor Series. The Undertaker was originally managed by Brother Love, but in February of 1991, Paul Bearer debuted on the Brother Love show and became his full-time manager. The Undertaker's career became legendary, and without this incredible persona change, he may have never reached the heights that he did.